Next In.
Welcome to Next In. Today we have Blagoja. I'm working on saying around Blagoja. He's VP of Product from Simpler. Thank you for joining us. Where are you coming to us from?
I am here in the Bay Area, just outside Redwood City.
All right. So from Nashville to the Bay Area, all because of technology, right? So I appreciate you being on, and we are going to run through some questions with you. We're going to start with the really hard-hitting questions, just like an introduction in 5th grade math class. What's an interesting, fun fact about yourself? Something really unique.
What is unique? A lot of things. I do beekeeping for hobby.
Beekeeping.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Oh.
That's a fun fact that you don't see online.
So you don't have bees inside your house. I assume they're outside your house. But how often do you get stung?
They're in my backyard. Yes, of course they're outside.
Yeah.
How often do I get stung? Not too often. Less often than you think.
Well, how often is not too often? Because like more than once a year is like too often for me.
Couple of times a year.
Wow. Yeah, I don't mean.
But the thing is,
just,
the thing is, most people are just afraid of it. You get stung, it swells a little, and a day or so goes by, and it's gone. It's not really a big deal.
Yeah, but it's
I'm told if I had my own bees, like I could have my own honey, and my allergies are crazy, and I've been trying to find like a local person that makes honey out here, and it's 10 times more difficult than most people would assume, especially when you're trying to do it from like an allergy standpoint.
That's right. No, that's how I got started about 4 or 5 years ago as well. Just I'm allergic and to I have allergies here, just from pollen, and making some home honey, it helps.
Huh. All right. So next major fun fact. So once COVID's gone, which we don't know when that's going to be, we're going to be able to travel again. Where would you want to travel?
Oh, where would I want to travel, for work or for fun? Those are kind of two different things.
Ooh, both. I guess let's go with both.
Yeah. We'll go with work first, and then.
Well, for work, all of our engineering is in India, so I do travel to India quite a bit, and the UK. But for fun, Iceland.
All right. A little Reykjavik, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Go to Iceland. All right. So my bucket list is Israel. That would be if I could get a chance to do that, that would probably be number one when it opens back up. But right now, no major travel plans, certainly not international. All right. Last one. Cool. And this one's the most hard hitting and the one you will be judged the most on. Your choice in movies. What is your favorite movie?
I'm gonna go with my classic that I've liked for a very long time, which is the Usual Suspects.
Oh, another good one. Shane, have you seen The Usual Suspects?
I thought when you said Usual Suspects, you were going to be like Gladiator, The Patriot, or my favorites when you say Usual Suspects. No, I haven't seen The Usual Suspects. I have no idea.
Usual Suspects.
You're kidding.
I thought you were going to list off a movie that is like everyone's top favorite. I had no idea.
No. This is a classic. The Usual Suspect is a classic. It's like from the late 90s. And it made a really big impression on me back then, so I still like it quite a bit.
Yeah, Kaiser Sose, right?
That's right.
Come on, Kevin Spacey, you got it. All right, so that Shane clearly is not very well cultured because he has not seen any of the movies that we have. Moonstruck, we have
Shawshank Redemption.
and Shawshank Redemption. So 3 very good movies from 3 very different product people. All right, so let's get to know you a little bit. From a professional level, you're the VP of product at Simpler. Why don't you tell everyone who's watching and whatnot what Simpler does and is?
Great. Yes. So at Simpler, what we do is we allow businesses to align their workforce, make sure that everybody in the company in this day and age, as everybody is remote and distributed, to be aligned, know what's happening in the company. Top-down communication. So when leaders want to share updates about the company, marketing launches, product launches, whatever that may be, make sure that the whole workforce is in the know, is aligned. It provides kind of like the one source of truth for everybody, and enables the workforce to do their job better, more effectively, to find information quicker. And on what's even more important than that is make sure that whatever information they do find is it's accurate and it's fresh and it's relevant to what they're doing. Our software gives businesses the ability to motivate, inspire, and make sure their workforce, as well as collaborate on different projects and kind of promote the company culture across the board. As new people join companies, they switch jobs, it becomes more important, ever more important to make sure that you're part of the culture. You understand how things are getting done, and find information, ramp up, all of those things, connect with your peers, with your teammates, and our software enables all of that within the business boundaries.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I got a question. So I'm looking at some of the roles that you've gotten opened up, which can tie into obviously what Simpler does, right? So it looks like you have an integrations role, a analytics role, and an ML AI role, all looking for strategic principal product managers on your team, right? So where do you see kind of like the future version of Simpler going when you guys are looking at adding AI products, analytic products, et cetera, into your guys' core services?
Well, looking forward, personalization becomes the key for us to kind of continue to make each of our users have a unique experience. And when we talk about personalization, machine learning and AR are kind of like the latest technologies that we're deploying as part of our software to make sure that Jake in marketing and Mike in engineering are kind of they're consuming and they're interacting with content that's targeted for them. And your traditional intranet, you kind of have this content that's out there, and it's for everybody. You're forcing quote unquote your employees to come into your portal in order to see what's happening or what the company news or so on. What we're doing is we're kind of flipping that upside down, and we're saying, look, you don't have to come to us, we'll come to you. So when communication teams, leaders, when they publish content, they get to pick which audience within the organization that's targeting. And we have our software basically it gets all not just the publishing criteria, but where you are in the organization, what you do, kind of behavioral and positional within the organization, and takes all that information and makes it very personalized company news, company updates, company interactions for each person. ML, AI, all of those areas are where we're investing in the future and making sure that we just take that personalization to the next level.
That's interesting. So you can almost look at it as like you guys are advertising internally and creating like these internal advertising systems to allow it to connect to the right people internally rather than externally. So internal channels are more aligned with what should or should not be shared, or at least risen to the top, like ranking.
I wouldn't say advertising, but I would say we're using similar approach to make sure that the content it's reaching its intended audience in the most efficient way, in the most appropriate channel at the right time.
So would you say messaging maybe is different than, than advertising messaging to the internal team?
I mean, we like to say communication. So when you're communicating something, the reason I say communication, it's because, when you have leaders, team leads, C-level, what they try to inspire and to update and make sure that their teams are in the know. So they write communication, short term, midterm, short form, mid form articles, and basically they push it down to their teams, to their workforce. If you can imagine in a large corporation where you have thousands of employees, most people interact 10 to 15 with 10 to 15 people around them. Whether it's your own team or the people that you're interacting with, that's a very small group of people. When you're in the office, most likely you will bump into people. You might have a small conversation along the way. You get to know what they're doing or what's happening in finance or what's happening in sales. When you're all distributed, you don't have that. So understanding what the right arm of the right hand of the company is doing, where you're sitting on the left side, it's kind of what we enable corporations to kind of achieve.
Yeah, this
and
is
now that
fantastic.
corporations have gone remote, and throughout COVID, it's even less of your communication because you're not bumping into people as much in the office.
That's right. What we like to say is that we're kind of recreating the water cooler effect.
You're the digital bump. You guys are the digital bump in the office.
We're your digital headquarters. This is like when you come in, you join a company. This is where you go to meet up, to learn, to onboard, and to kind of hang out.
So if I look at it, it's just like the companies that are going more distributed, that are looking at, hey, we're going to have this attrition problem. Like everybody right now is really nervous about the idea of being 100% remote. And I'm curious your thoughts, but a lot of people are really nervous about 100% remote distributed teams because they feel like they're going to lose this interconnection and this ability to communicate internally and build relationships, etc. And I really see y'all being, uniquely positioned to help people be more connected in a digital environment to where they don't necessarily feel 100% left out.
That's right. I mean, this direction was going to happen, whether it was now or 10 years from now. COVID just accelerated the whole thing. And what we do is we bridge that gap. We make it easier, make it more seamless, and we make it more painless, I should say. We go, whether you're 100% remote or some sort of hybrid, technology is here to stay, and providing capabilities where you're not face to face to have a level of continuity of business and level of collaboration and level of brainstorming and kind of working as a team. That's not going away. It doesn't matter if you're 100% remote or 80% remote or 50% remote. As long as you have remote workforce, that's going to be a need.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great to see that you guys are in a position to make, work from home relevant, if you will. Right. And so let me ask you this, right? Because there's going to be a lot of people that are wanting to get into product or wanting to get into a company like Simpler. And so what we're hoping to get out of this conversation today too is just like, what are the things that you're looking for as you're growing your team? Because again, looking at your job board, you guys have a lot of strategic focused roles that you're hiring for underneath your org. What do you guys look for when you're looking for talent?
We're looking for smart people. That's kind of like the first and foremost. We're looking for, we're talking about the product team, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, across the board, of course, we're looking for smart people, but in product, in my organization, that's kind of prerequisite. You have to have the intellectual horsepower to understand, fast-moving business needs and understand customer pain points, understand direction, where we're going, and execute. So all of our engineering team is abroad. That poses a different set of challenges. Being able to work with that effectively is kind of what we're looking for.
Okay. What are some of the, so, putting aside intellect, right? What are like the soft skills that you look for in your team? Like, where do you see people maybe even making mistakes throughout your interview process? Let's say that they are like, they have the right intellect and they seem to be somebody that is really smart. Where do you see people falling short?
Yeah. So, communication it's kind of funny because we have a communication software, but communication is a key attribute or key skill that is that's going to make you successful or not successful. That's usually a true for any PM role, but when you have a completely overseas development team in a different culture altogether and different time zone, communication becomes the most important skill. And the reason I say that, it's because we as product organization, we work very closely with engineering, and they're not here; they're in a different time zone. It's a different it's a different way of thinking. It's a different culture. So and being able to bridge that, being able to understand that and communicate effectively, it's the difference between shipping what you want to ship and shipping what they thought you want to ship.
Yep. I ran a team out of Noida for a while. And if it's not like straight up and very, very specific and very on point, it ends up being something completely different.
That's right. And as part of that communication, a lot of it is written communication. It's not just like walking over to engineering and have a huddle and you kind of correct immediately. You have 12 hours difference, and being able to leverage the time difference to your advantage, meaning whether you kind of as you're planning your day, because they're 12 hours apart from us, a half an hour or 20 minutes additional work today could make a 24-hour difference in the outcome.
So I guess another question would be is like in your product org, right? Like there are some people where it's more technical in nature. Some product orgs are more analysts, more business focused, more marketing focused. Some of them are a blend and they have like unique pillars. What is the makeup of your product team? Would you say that you have a pretty universal blend across all of that? Or do you lean towards more technical folks? Like how do you build your product team? Because you obviously come from an engineering background, right? I was looking through your previous history, and
that's right. I come from a technical background. However, I am as a product leader, I'm very business oriented. So even though I do come from an engineering background, when I look at my PM teams, the business sense is what comes first. Understanding technology, it's almost table stakes. I don't even consider that as a part of your skill set. Of course you're technical. I don't even have to kind of test for that. I'm kind of there's a lot of assumptions going here, but you have to be technical. There's no question here. You have to be able to establish credibility with engineering. You have to understand the trade-offs. You have to understand what we're building in order to tie it to the value that we're bringing to customers. So the composition of the team is very much kind of like comes from a business oriented type. Technology is a must, and we're kind of augmenting the team with a more data-driven analytical types of teammates to kind of complement the existing composition already.
Cool. And then when you look at like another prerequisite, Taylor keeps bumping off, by the way, because apparently the internet's being funky. Hashtag, COVID remote life.
Yeah.
But some product organizations, they require MBAs. Some product organizations don't. Would you say most of the people on your product team have some sort of MBA or master's program? They don't. Like, is that a requirement? Not a requirement? I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are. Just because it seems like most product nowadays, like they have some sort of MBA.
So my philosophy on MBA is that it's nice, it's not required. It helps you. It doesn't help me as a team lead. I mean, it helps you understand the business problem that we're solving better than if you didn't have an MBA. Now, you can have that same sense without an MBA. That's why when I say business background, I don't necessarily mean formal business training. I mean a way of thinking.
Yeah. Okay. So then if somebody were to come to you and say, I want to become a product manager, maybe they come from an analyst background, maybe they come from an engineering background, maybe they come from a marketing or customer success background, who knows? But like if somebody approached you over at Simpler or anywhere else or outside of Simpler, like what type of advice would you give somebody wanting to get into product that maybe do not already have that specific experience?
Yeah, I mean, first question I ask is why? Why is it that you want to be product? What do you think product management is that makes you want to be one? Okay.
It's a very product manager question to ask. With the engineering, it's like, why do you need this product? Why do you need that?
Well, the thing is that, when somebody has never done product management and wants to be involved in product management, they either interacted with the product manager before and they have a view or perception of what the job is, or they read a book or two or whatever. They joined an event somewhere that talked about it, that made it very glamorous and exciting and all of that stuff, or somebody just told them, oh, you should get into product. You'd be great. So when somebody says, hey, I want to get into product, usually, you have triggers like that have happened before. So my first point is like, what makes you think that this is what you want to do? Okay. There is as you know, product management is kind of like it's evolving field, and it's getting more established now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But even now, even throughout all that evolution, you have various degrees of variances from industries, from type of companies, from type of product, from the stage of the company, it's stage of the product. You have these like 4 or 5 different factors. These are four or five different dimensions that you can kind of be and as a product manager, kind of running a product, and they're all very different.
Yeah.
And the type of person that would be a good fit in one slot, it gets no guarantees that will be successful in a different slot.
Yeah, I feel like product management over the last 2 or 3 years has been rapidly becoming a lot more popular. It's not that it hasn't existed before. It's almost this new train of thought, just like machine learning, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, started getting really, really popular, but it had been there in the past. You've had quantitative analysis, you've had, these people doing highly computational mathematical problems like that existed, but then now they're like, all right, well, let's redefine this and create this new thought, and let's call it machine learning. And I feel like product kind of experiencing that same journey that started with machine learning a couple of years ago. As we're entering a data-driven age, or a SaaS-driven, or PaaS-driven, or DaaS-driven, or words plus as a service-driven, and I believe because of the as a service kind of world, we're moving to a more product-driven world.
That's right. I mean, you have product is evolving, is growing up. And as a field, you kind of have a couple of different types of product managers as well. You have kind of like people that are builders. You have people that are kind of, what we call tuners. and you have people that are innovators, and these are all PMs in a very different environment doing very different job. They're all product managers, and then layer that across the board where you have kind of like you have an early stage company product that you're just kind of trying to iterate. If speed is of essence, then you kind of have a growth type of product where now you're scaling. You make sure that you can support 100x customers, or you have a mature product that you're just kind of tuning. So you're kind of adding, you're polishing features and so on. If your customer, if your product is B2B, if your product is B2C, if you're direct to consumers, these are very different kind of approaches, products, and how you run product in general. So there's no one size fits all. It's not like accounting, where product is very much a fluid kind of role, and depending the type of product that you're working on, and depending on the environment that you're in, your skills and your capabilities differ significantly.
For sure. Well, I know we're approaching the end of our conversation, just because I know we have a hard stop in a couple of minutes. So I guess, are there any last minute things that you could share about Simpler? I guess this is also an opportunity to sell something that you are trying to recruit for, or you are trying to find right now. I would love to hear any last minute kind of stuff that you would want to share about Simpler or your team specific.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. So at Simpler, we are growing really, really fast. We're in this growth phase right now, where we're trying to keep up with demand, and we're scaling our product, we're scaling our teams, we're scaling engineering across the board. The market has finally caught up with what we've been doing for the last few years, and now the opportunity is ripe. And we're very exciting team, very fast moving. We got a pretty good vote of confidence with our investors. We just raised some more funds to kind of help us fuel that growth.
Specifically 32 million, which is a pretty freaking good series. Yeah,
that's
32
right.
million, which is awesome.
That's right. Thank you. And so now it's all about capitalizing all these. Capitalizing the moment, the opportunity, and it's all about execution. It's all about growth, producing new products, expanding our customer base, and expanding the footprint within our existing customers.
Awesome. And I'm genuinely excited about seeing how you guys impact the distributed workforce that happens. And I'm super excited to see where you guys are, 2031 and, beyond.
Next in.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're really hoping to we've got a lot of people that we talk to all the time. Obviously, I run a recruiting agency, right? And we've got people all the time that are in a bunch of different fields that want to get into product. Now, we do a lot of product recruiting as well, and we help scale product teams.
Mm-hmm.
But because we help do a lot of recruiting for product teams, we've got a lot of people that will reach out to us that have literally no product experience, and they're like, how do I do this thing? And so we decided that we wanted to interview some people that have gone and done that product journey, like yourself, where you started off as an engineer and then you've transitioned into product and you made that, leap of faith and that jump in your career. And so we're just trying to help kind of give back to that, because that's been it's been a pain point. People keep asking us, what do we do? How do we do it? And I was like,
that's right.
Why don't we just create a series?
My journey happened completely by accident. I didn't even know this was a job when I did it. I didn't know people paid you to do this. It was kind of like, getting exposed to sales and to customers. Salespeople brought me in as a technical subject matter expertise. And I quickly realized that, what the customers really need is not what we're pushing down their throat. So that was kind of like a light bulb in my head. And I was like, okay, I go back to my team, to my engineers, and we're like, okay, look, this is what I'm hearing outside. Nobody in sales will tell you that.
And I will even argue. I think sometimes product is super undervalued, and I think there's becoming a lot more value towards it. But I think product is really undervalued, and it's really undervalued in pre-A series startups because people just don't think that they're at the growth mode to need a product manager. And I'll tell you what. So I had a company that was it was based in Seattle. It was called Talentful. It was a machine learning and artificial intelligence platform that did identity resolution. And at the end of the day, I was kind of on product, but I was really sales, and I was recruiting, and I was, driving revenue for the product. And then I had a co-founder that was the technical co-founder, and he was the one building the product and building the service. And we both had 2 identified customers that were like kind of on the same track, but were very separate people. And so when you have a sales team driving and pushing one thing, and you've got a development team driving and pushing another, and you don't have somebody in the middle that's being a channel for those 2 parties to communicate, you just end up butting heads. And if you're the one selling the product, you can't really be in a true product position.
Absolutely. What's even more important than that, not just butting heads, they completely miss each other when they talk to each other.
Because it becomes a defensive mode, and it's a battle. It turns into a battle royale rather than a conversation.
As a PM, you have to speak sales. That's a language. And you have to speak engineering. That's a language. Those 2 don't really talk. They're not the same language. And a lot of times, if you just put them in a room together, like just hash it out, they don't.
No, we sold our company. At the end of the day, it came down to like I look back at it, and I look back at it, and I go, if we had a product manager, if we had somebody that was in between us, we probably would have scaled and we would have kept going. But instead, because we didn't see eye to eye, and we weren't in the room having conversations, and we were more having battles of opinions on who should be sold and why, rather than trying to meet in the middle or trying to figure out alternatives, or maybe that's 2 different product lines that have a similar solution. Who knows? Probably wouldn't have sold to our competitors, but we did.